Thank you. Welcome everybody to our November 2nd meeting of Fresno City Toastmasters. Welcome to Monica, your returning guest, and Ray is joining us from Rally Center for the Blind. Actually, it's his first meeting today, so welcome, Ray. Really good to see you. You can turn on your camera if you want to, but you also don't have to on your first time. You can do whatever you feel comfortable with. I'm going to start us off by reading our club mission statement. Fresno City Toastmasters exists to provide a positive and supportive learning experience in which members are empowered to, firstly, develop better communication skills, and secondly, to develop leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. For Zoom etiquette, we like to remind all of our members to keep yourself muted until called upon, just to avoid feedback on Zoom. We also use the jazz hands on Zoom instead of clapping or applause. And stand up when speaking as possible. And for people in person, I also want to give a reminder to sign in when you come and try to grab a name tag for those of us who are here in person. Also, thank you, as always, to Michael Wu for providing us with this facility to meet in every week so generously. We really appreciate that. So with that, I am going to, actually, agenda. Let's make sure everybody is here. Sarah, you are not on the agenda. Would you like to take over Kalani's role for today? Because it looks like she's not present. Does that work for you?
Yes, what is she doing?
She was down for off capture.
You got it.
Okay.
And by the way, Chanel, we got to figure out how to get you guys. Can you see that? It just came in.
That's a holder, like phone holder.
Adapter. Yep. And that's the one that we ordered that ties on to the tripod so that we don't have to worry about Jimmy rigging it when you guys are there. So we'll figure out how to get it over there for the next one.
I can come pick it up this week, Joey.
Okay. Just let me know.
All right. Sounds good. Okay, everybody else is present for agenda roles, so we're just replacing Kalani with Sarah. And with that, I'm going to pass the podium over to our Toastmaster for today, who is Miss Cindy Mason. Please welcome Cindy.
Thank you. How many people do we have on here? I only see 9 screens.
And 3 of them are us.
Okay, very good. Our topic today is democracy. And I'm going to keep this short. Let's say we had 12 people in the room and we took a vote. And what the majority decided is the way we went. That's a democracy. We live in a democratic republic. That's different. That means we have states that vote for representatives, and those representatives vote for us, and they come up with a solution for everything. As we know, power is a whole language unto itself. And usually there's some money that gets mixed up in with that. And it turns into a government somewhere, or somehow gets mixed in with the government. And usually it ends up going a little bit off track, right? The United States is set up in a different way than every other country, in that we have, usually other countries, they'll have a constitution that says, okay, this is government, this is what you can do. You have these powers, these, and this. That's as far as you can take. And of course, they always push it until they're totally in control of everything. So the United States is set up in a different way. Our Constitution is all about what the government cannot do. All of our freedoms are in the people, and our Constitution limits the government. there's always a push and shove on that power control. And it goes one way, then it goes the other way. And every time it goes to an extreme, it's very uncomfortable. We happen to be kind of in that realm right now. So without getting political about it, that's my topic for today. That's all we're going to cover. And I'm going to introduce our general evaluator today, Joey.
Thank you, Danny. Well said. Let me pull up our agenda here. So as the general evaluator of the meeting, I will introduce my team of evaluators that come in different forms. And with the first one today, I'm going to announce Chanel West, who is our grammarian, and she'll introduce our word of the day. Chanel?
Let me put it in the chat real quickly.
She's running up here as fast as she can, even.
I could tell, look at all the dust moving around in there, all that running.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm going to be our grammarian for today, and to keep things as simple as possible for our theme, the word that I've chosen is democracy, which Denny just defined for us. I also put the definition and the word in the chat for those of you who are joining us on Zoom. So as much as possible, let's try to use this word in our speeches or table topics or whatever conversation we may be having today, and I will keep track of who is using the word. Thank you.
Thank you, Chanel. So try and use that word, mix it in today. Do you guess, or people who have been, or even members that have been here less than 6 months aren't, I guess, have to do the fine. We don't call it a fine anymore. It's the, what do we call it? The investment jar. So if you don't use it, then you have to put into our investment jar. It used to be called a fine jar. But those that are guests or those that are members of only 6 months don't have to worry about that. It's kind of more like a sandbox for you. And next on our list, Sarah is taking over for counter. So Sarah, you want to introduce that role?
Thank you, Joey. I think odd counter is one of the more fun roles, I think, where you get to listen for all the different crutch words that people use and see if you can start to hear them. And then I think over time you start to listen to it in your own life, and then you catch yourself, and then it becomes less and less. And so you learn to be able to take pauses and that kind of thing. So that's what this role is just to help you point out and to see what are those crutch words that keep you from being as effective as you possibly can in your speeches. Thanks, Joey.
Thank you, Sarah. Great description. And that tends to be the one role that new guests will remember forever. Those crutch words, counting all those crutch words. And next on our evaluation list, who is doing double duty today, Ms. Farron Jacobson. She's going to announce the timer and the Zoom role, if you will, please.
Absolutely. Thank you, Joey. I am timing the speeches for the meeting today. Michael Wu, your speech is scheduled for 5 to 7 minutes. I'll be using background screen. So at 5 minutes, we will have a green screen. At 6 minutes, yellow, and at 7 minutes, red. Wrap it up. Chanel, you will be evaluating. So you'll see green at 2 minutes, yellow at 2:30, and red at 3 minutes. And then when we have table topics, those are 1 to 2 minute speeches. I will turn green at 1 minute, yellow at 1.5, and red at 2 minutes. As for the Zoom master role, I am recording the meeting. I'm letting in participants, managing the chats, and these videos get uploaded to YouTube so that you can go back and watch yourself give your speech to catch anything that our evaluators did not. That is it.
Thank you, Farron. Awesome description of both roles. And Chanel, since we have a couple guests, do you mind going over the evaluator role for the speeches? Por favor.
Yes, definitely.
I do have a question, Farron. The YouTube videos, are those open to the public or are those limited link?
They are public. The links to them only go to us through the email. So to discover our videos, someone would have to search in YouTube for Fresno City Toastmasters, and they could find us that way and see all our old videos.
Yeah, they pop up on on my main YouTube. I see them.
Okay, so good to know that anything we say is public, correct?
Can and will be used you in the court of law.
Got it. Okay.
Disclaimer. Okay, I'm going to be the evaluator today, so Michael is going to come up in a few moments and give his speech. And then at the end of our meeting, I will have the opportunity to evaluate the speech. Now, typically in Toastmasters, every speech has a different purpose or something specific that the speaker is supposed to be working on, whether it be speech organization, perhaps gestures, body language used during the speech, perhaps it is tonality and voice fluctuations. So those are all things that when evaluating, we look for and give feedback to the speaker on how effectively they use each of those speaking devices. So that is what I will be doing today in my role as evaluator. Thank you.
Thank you, Chanel. Awesome. So I like to do that just for our guests, so you know when the evaluator pops up and you don't think, oh my gosh, who's this person? So thank you, Chanel, for describing that. And with that, I will send it back over to Denny Mason, our Toastmaster, to introduce Mr. Michael Wu in his speech today.
And we have with us the very distinguished Michael Wu, who's going to be giving us a speech today. I don't have the information yet.
It's gonna be identify your leadership type speech.
Oh, he's going to help us identify our leadership type. I can't wait. Come on up, Michael. What you said.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests. My topic today is how to identify your leadership styles. I did the online assessment on the pathways, and it gives you the assessment of the innovative leadership type. Now, by definition, this kind of leaders have the following characteristics. First, they share a vision of the future and pursue excellence. This type of leader encourages innovative ideas, and they motivate by promoting respect for team members' creativity and invites collaborative conversation from all members. Now, more likely, this type of leaders would think out of the box and not restrained by existing rules. And look back to my experience, I figured out how I came to become this type of innovative leaders. I did my graduate study in Belgium, in a Western European country, and I encountered people from different backgrounds. And over time, I met a lot of people from all over the world and start to realize, for example, people have different backgrounds and they have different ideas. Sometimes those ideas don't go along with each other and start to have the conflicts. And then I discovered, if we can find the common grounds, then we can bring everybody together and forget about the differences. For example, the most obvious difference in the Western Hemisphere would be the religious difference among different people. And there are three major branches of religion in the Western Hemisphere. We know there's Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. They all share the same origin, but for some reason they don't get along with each other, and they even went all to war to try to kill each other, like in the name of crusade, right? And then today we are not as violent as in history, but there's still like more like passive aggression of not getting along. Within those three branches, there are still more smaller branches. For example, in Christianity, we have Catholic and Protestants. And in Protestant, we have further a lot of small divisions. We have, for example, Lutherans, Baptist, Unitarian, Presbyterian, Vegetarian. I started losing track. And they all try to say they're the right one and others are wrong. And then I figured out there must be a way to find a common ground. Then when I started looking into these, then I figured out that joined one of the organization, one of the churches, and started study about all their history and all their doctrines and their theories. Then I figured out, oh, I get it, because religion at the end is a form of business. And we all know this 3 branches of religions started by the Jews. They are the best business people in the world. That's why Judaism started first. And they sell a concept for a membership. So you come and pay dues, and then they sell you an idea of something that can bring you happy after that. And then this business boomed. Of course, with any business, if it's successful, you have copycats. Employees will copy your idea and go out and start their own business. And sometimes employees can be more successful than their old bosses. And this is the case for Christianity and Islam. They grew bigger than their master, the Judaism. And then, of course, once you become successful, more employees will branch out and start their own. That explains all the smaller divisions in each of those groups. And of course, we covered Christianity, but in Islam, in Judaism, there are small branches in them, and they all don't get along. Why don't they get along, even if they share the same origin? Well, because of business competition. They all try to get more people to join theirs instead of their competitors. That's why they try to badmouth each other and have turf war with each other. Now, if we understand the business aspect of the religion, and so you forego their theories of which one is right, which one is wrong, then we can easily understand the human behavior and bring people together, because we can look beyond what the theory is, look strictly into the business practice. Now, because it's a business practice, of course, it makes sense. You want to make money, you want to have this theory, and then we're all the same, because we just belong to different organizations, and our leaders try to get us to come give them money, not give to your leaders money, and we should not fall into that trap. Now, how I come to understand this is a business, not a real theory. When I started looking, for example, when I joined the organization of a church, and they start teaching me about creationism, how God created this world, that's interesting. God created light on the first day, first or second day, and the sun and star on the third day. Now, light comes from the sun star. How can you create light before you create the sun star? And that doesn't make sense in the pure context. But actually, if you look at how this book was written, you understand it was a book written by ancient people. It's a science fiction or fantasy story by ancient with a limited knowledge about this world. You know, ancient people, they live in caves. They have really sophisticated arts. They have cave paintings and potteries, right? And so they start to make sense how the world came to existence. So by using their limited knowledge, they start thinking, well, there must be a powerful God above making this world just like we make our own crafts. And cave people live in caves. It's very dark inside. When they go into their cave and try to make something, they need to be able to see first. So they need to light up the torch first every day before start making things. And by extrapolating that experience into God making this world, of course, started with let there be light. So if you understand how everything is made by people, then you understand the differences. And then you can bring people together and look beyond differences and collaborate, work together with good collaboration. And my time's up. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, and now we're going to go into table topic. And our table topic master today is Heather. Are you ready for us, Heather?
I'm ready. Thank you,
All right.
Dani.
You always come up with good topics.
Yes, today I had some fun with it. With it being the word democracy and the theme for today, I know that it can get pretty heated pretty quick because everybody has different ideas and beliefs. So I wanted to make it a little bit more fun. So I have 4 different questions for you today. And
Oop, I lost your sound.
You're muted, Heather.
I don't know how I do that. Okay, so thank you. I put the questions in the chat and you can kind of see my mind's been in the post-apocalyptic type mindset. I've been watching a lot of Walking Dead recently. So I have these questions I thought would be more fun to answer regarding democracy. So number 1, you are living in a zombie-filled world where democracy no longer truly exists, but you stumble upon a community desperately trying to hold on to its humanity. You prove your worth and are asked to be on the council. What elected role in this world would you want or not want? Number 2, the Ministry of Magic has fallen, and now it's up to one of the 4 Hogwarts houses to regain control. Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Slytherin, or Hufflepuff of the Wizarding World. Which house do you choose? I'm sorry, Denny? Oh, sorry. Which house do you choose and why do you think they would be best to be in charge? Number 3, you live in the world of Hunger Games and you have a choice. You can either choose to live in the capital but lose all traces of yourself and your identity, or you can live in the worst district with an everyday fear of dying, but you get to live your daily life as you wish. Which do you choose? And lastly, just for fun, which world would you rather live in? The Walking Dead world, Harry Potter, or the Hunger Games, and why? And I'll go ahead and answer number 1 first. I would personally like to be an ambassador because they do get to be somewhat in charge or have some sort of control, but they don't not like the president, where all that expectation and responsibility falls on their shoulder. The ambassador can kind of get sent out and go on runs and do things like that, which I feel like is a little bit less stressful, although there is that fear of being eaten by zombies. However, that is what I would choose because I would not want to be president and have all that expectation on my shoulder. So anybody like to go first? Okay, I'll pick a name. Oops, excuse me. What about you, Joey? Or Denny, since you're already up there?
Number 2, we had a little trouble hearing.
Oh, I apologize.
If you want to, no, it wasn't you. It was the computer froze up a little bit. Would you repeat that number 2, please?
Yeah. Number 2, the Ministry of Magic has fallen, and now it's up to one of the 4 Hogwarts houses to regain control. Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Slytherin, or Hufflepuff. Which house do you think would be best in charge and why? Denny, did you want to answer one of those questions?
I couldn't possibly, but I want you to. But I'll stand here and look beautiful, and everybody else can answer that.
Okay, so I'll go.
Okay,
I'll go.
Joey.
Yeah, I haven't been into all those, what is it, Harry Potter stuff. So Walking Dead, though, I love Walking Dead. And Walking Dead is interesting for those that haven't seen it or watched any of the episodes.
Well,
or watch
season 4, by the way. Season 4.
Season 4, is that where you're at? You're
Yeah.
on season 4? Yeah. So for those zombie people that don't like zombies and things like that, the first couple seasons were about the zombies. And then it became, well, if you survived for this long past the apocalyptic time when it all started, then the people that are still alive, it's really the people you have to fear, not so much the zombies. So if you don't get involved in a big old giant zombie horde, which is a problem, the zombies move slow and they don't run, they don't sprint, anything like that. They're not really to be feared unless it's a horde, but it's the people that you have to fear, because you don't know when you have bands of people or clans that run into each other that don't know each other. You don't know who they are. You don't know if they're evil, if they have evil intentions or if they have good intentions. So for me, if I was in a post-apocalyptic world and my role democratically I would love to be one to make decisions. Now, I wouldn't want to be, like Heather said, the president who it all comes down to that one person to make the final decision. I love making decisions, but I do like the idea of a republic or democracy where you're voting on the the majority rules, or you have sections of people that are represented, and putting that together. I think in that kind of a world, it takes more than just one person to make a decision, because you have other clans that you have to worry about, other people, and then obviously the zombie stuff. And sometimes the people will use the zombies as weapons, where they'll, like in one scene, they had these big old, those shipping bins, big giant metal ones, containers, and they had probably 50 zombies in there, and they would open the doors and let them out in a certain area that was really confined to ambush people. So there's certain moves and strategies militarily that you would have to do in those kind of scenarios. So I would love to have some sort of a decision role in a post-apocalyptic world. Thanks, Heather.
Awesome. Thank you, Joey. Right? Like you want to be able to decide, but at the same time, you don't want to make the wrong choice and lead people into a horde of zombies and then kill everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
A little stressful. Okay. Anybody else want to volunteer first? Start picking some names. What about Austin Dawson?
She's a zombie fan.
I'm so excited because I know very, very little about any of these. I'm trying to think of the Hunger Games, because I dated a guy a few years ago who actually really, not the Hunger Games, the Harry Potter guy. Yeah, Harry Potter. And so I started learning a little bit about those, and I've actually heard those names, which is great. I don't know that much about them. So I think Hufflepuff, those are the nice ones, right?
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
We are.
So I think those are the ones that I identified with, is the Hufflepuff. Is that what it's called? Okay. And I'll have to look at the question again to see what the exact question is. Which house do you think would be best in charge? Oh, Hufflepuff probably not going to be the best in charge. Definitely not Slytherin, because those are the evil people, for those of you who are as ignorant as I am about this. What are the other two?
You've got Gryffindor and Ravenclaw.
And Griffin, one's the warriors?
Gryffindor is like the valiant people, Harry Potter, Ron. You got Ravenclaw, which is a little bit more, you got your smarty pants.
I would go with those. I would probably go with those as far as because they tend to know war strategy a little bit better, and so then they have to go in, and I think even since this was founded as a semi-democracy, thank you for filling that in, because I don't pay attention to politics much either. But politics and Harry Potter. So I think I would tend to go with the warriors, because I think that they will tend to make their decisions out of what's best for people, in a sense, and rather than just using what the theory like the brainiacs might use and being too nice. Like I would tend to be way too nice, I think, and that kind of thing. So I would go with Ravenclaw, you said?
Gryffindor.
Gryffindor. There you go. There's my answer.
I would completely agree with you, despite myself being a Hufflepuff. We need the Gryffindors or Ravenclaw. I feel like Ravenclaws are very smart and would figure it out pretty quickly. Okay, anybody else? Monica and Ray, you don't have to, but feel free to chime in if you'd like to. Otherwise, we got Denny.
I'll do number 3. That's fine. Okay, so I was reading this question, and it kind of like, I was confused at which one I would honestly pick. But I think about it, I'm all about liberty, I'm all about free will. But then I go back to the question and I look, it's not about myself anymore. When I was younger, I'm a veteran and I love liberty and the free will of doing that. But now that I'm older and I love my children and I love my grandchild, I think that I would give up my identity to make sure that they're in a safe environment. And I would give that up in a heartbeat to make sure that, they're there, even if it's, but depending on which side they are as well, I would want them to be with me. So at the end of the day, this question would be more directed to where my family is at. And then that would help me decide on which way I would go. But preferably, if it's going to keep us safe, I would pick to lose my identity and continue to live in the worst district.
Well, thank you, Monica, for sharing. And you brought up a valid point of, we think about ourselves immediately, but then we also have these other people to think. I'm clearly not a mom yet, but we do have our families and other people to think about too. And that's amazing that you'd be willing to do that. So thank you for sharing. What about Farron? What about you? I think you've read all of these, right? Yeah.
Yes, of course. And I watched all the seasons of The Walking Dead. Hold on, let me get my timer going. I will go with number 2 just because we finished The Goblet of Fire yesterday. I'm reading the Harry Potter books to my kids. This is the 4th time that I have read them, and this is the first time my son is hearing them. We just finished Goblet of Fire, and I do think that Hufflepuff would be the best house to gain control. And it's not because I'm a Hufflepuff, according to, what is it called?
Potter World or
Pottermore,
Pottermore?
yeah. Pottermore. That's not the reason why, though. It's because Hufflepuffs are loyal and they believe in fairness. It's not that they're too nice, it's that they want fairness. And I think being fair is very representative of a democracy. I think that if Hufflepuff took over, they would ensure that everyone was treated with equity instead of equality. We know that equality is giving everyone exactly the same thing, but equity is giving people exactly what they need to succeed. And what else? Yeah, I think that's about it. That's all I have to say about Hufflepuff taking over. I think they would do it because of fairness and equality.
I love that. Thank you, Farron. And it's good to know I got another Hufflepuff sister out there. Okay, we still have Mike, if you like to, Ray, and Denny. Oh, and
Mike
Chanel.
Ellis. Yeah.
So if one of you wants to volunteer, that Mike.
I'll go.
There
I'll
he
go
is.
ahead and go and try. I've actually never read the books or seen the series on any of them, but I know a lot of people that do, and I think I'll try my best to probably go the Hunger Game route. I believe that probably if you look, maybe the world is already splitting up into, technology zones, and I think there's a farm zone, and I believe the concept is everyone has a responsibility within the zones, and there's a all governing power that is, doing the games, and I like to overthrow in my mind powers, and so to overthrow, to have someone think that they have everything and then to lose it would be something that I would be a part of. So I really like the idea of the books, and I actually did read the first 2 books of the Mockingbird, and I never finished it, but I heard it was quite a thriller, and I'm sorry that I did, but I do enjoy the question. That it was really fun, and thank you for having me this afternoon.
Thank you, Mike. I'm glad you're here. And if you haven't, definitely finish the series. It is worth it. Yeah, I like to think I would just stick it out with District 12, but I like my comfort. I can't deny that. So, okay. We have Chanel. Oh, Mike, you were next. What would you like to answer?
I would like to choose number 1 because I love democracy. And we can tie into Denny's earlier speech about democracy, which sometimes can give us a little bit imperfect situation. Now, how can we improve the democracy? So in the zombie-filled world, it would be the best way, because we start from fresh, we can establish a new democracy system, and that can be a little bit better than what we have now, for example. Now, what do I think would be better? Generally, when we look at everybody making decisions, we know mature people tend to make a little better decision than immature people. And how can we have mature people both count a little bit more than people who are not so experienced in the country? And to evaluate that, it's fairly simple. Basically, we can look at their tax return. If people make more tax return, they contribute more to the country, and generally people make more tax return, they tend to make more money, and they're more experienced and more educated. They probably have a little better vision for the country's future. So if we tie to those people's tax return, which we have in the database, can tie into their Social Security, and then for those who pay a little bit more tax, we have a little bit of say people with 0 tax return can still have 1 vote. People with 100,000 tax return can say 1.1, 200,000, 1.2. This way, in a group setting, we might be able to come up with a better decision making if we consider all the numbers together and give people more mature, slightly more say in making decisions. And we can probably, in a democracy, make more better decisions, more long-term vision decisions than everybody at the same vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. So I'm getting treasurer would be kind of the role that you would be great at, because I am not a money person, that's for sure. Okay, Chanel, Denny, either of you want to wrap it up?
Do we have time for one more?
It's 12:42, so Madam President, you
Yeah, we're
decide.
good. We only have one evaluator, so.
Okay, yes, I will go then. I am going to answer the Hunger Games question because it's the only, it's of the three, it's the one that I'm most familiar with. I actually read the book. And I can say that the Hunger Games is the one movie that every time I watch it, it makes me cry. And I always cry right at the beginning because I have two younger sisters who I love very dearly. And without fail, the scene at the beginning, for those of you who are not familiar, there's basically this game going on amongst children where they have to fight to the death. And the participants are chosen by their names being drawn out of a hole. And then they have to go off and fight to the death. But you are able to take, if somebody's name is chosen, you are able to take their place and go in place of them to the fight to the death battle. And the heroine, her name is Katniss, her younger sister, who's pretty young, only maybe 11 or 12, her younger sister's name gets chosen. And Katniss, without even hesitating, says, I will volunteer in her place and go for her. And it really makes me just tear up every time because I think that my sisters did that. And I very much would like to think that I would do the same thing. I feel that I would. I'm sure that it's different in the actual moment than it is thinking about it theoretically. But I also, to answer the actual question, I think that my answer is somewhat different from Monica's because I do not have children. And so when I'm thinking of where I would live in the context of the Hunger Games world, I think it would be a lot easier for me to say that I'm going to make the sacrifices to fight for the side of freedom and equality and live in District 12 because I have only myself to think about. And I do think that I would rather make that sacrifice than live among the people in the Capitol who are very, it's kind of a Brave New World society, for those of you who are familiar with that book, very just inundated in their comfort and pacified because of that, which is dangerous to democracy.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chanel, and thank you for everyone that participated in Table Topics today. I hope this was fun and a little bit different, and I hope you enjoyed it. So I'm going to pass it back to Chanel.
I think me.
Joey.
Heather. Yep.
Passing it back to Joey.
Thanks, Heather. That was a good one. Yeah, and those sports out there that weren't too familiar with the books, great work. Was that Mike, Sarah? Yeah, great work. Now I want to call up Chanel. She's already up there, who's going to give her evaluation of Mr. Michael Wu's speech.
Thank you, Jody. All right, Michael, firstly, I would like to say that I appreciate your willingness to discuss hard topics that others of us may choose to avoid or not go there. For those of you who weren't here a couple weeks ago, Michael came up to the podium during Table Topics and said, today we're going to discuss politics and religion, because those are the two things that people usually don't want to discuss. So I do appreciate that. You have a very clear speaking style. I think probably your time in Toastmasters, since you're not a rookie, has helped with that. I didn't catch any crutch words that you were using in that sense. You're very animated with your hands. I think you have good use of hand gestures while you're speaking. Specifically, I know that you used held up 3 fingers to represent the number 3. You have very good eye contact. Those are things, when I see you speak, those are all things that I notice you excel at. I appreciated some of the humor that you added into that. I don't know if it was planned or if you came up with that on the spot. The Presbyterian, Unitarian, Vegetarian, that was good. And as somebody who has studied church history, I can appreciate that. So I would say, so one thing when you are discussing hard topics like this, I think it is generally a good rule of thumb, since you don't always know who is in your audience, to try to avoid stereotypes as much as possible, which can be difficult, but it's a good rule of thumb for making sure that you are able to connect with everybody. I would also say something to work on, and this is, I think, something that I have noticed in myself and a lot of other people who have been in Toastmasters for a while, is that we get very comfortable in one sort of speaking style where we have good eye contact, we can speak clearly, we have that down, but we kind of get stuck in taking it to the next level, which is in having a greater degree of animation, which I think that's something that takes planning as well. So to challenge yourself, I would say, think about what you could do more so with your vocal inflection, as far as pausing, talking faster, talking slower, raising your voice, lowering your voice, and also think more so of what you can do with this space that you have, as far as moving around and using the area to rather to illustrate or to emphasize the points that you're making. Those are all things that we can do to take our speaking style to the next level and make it really engaging. But overall, very clear. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you, Chanel. Yeah, and thank you, Michael, for sharing that. And I agree with Chanel. You're getting out there on fire and bringing up some topics that are on fire. So way to push us. That's part of being Toastmasters, is pushing us out of our comfort zones, because that's what's, if you get a mic that's put in front of your face, not a Michael Wu or a Michael Ellis, but a mic like a journalist mic, like Farron would do. You know, she's a news reporter, comes in, puts a mic in front of your face and says, "What do you think about this election?" And you're live. Go. What do you got to say? So we have to be able to put some thoughts together on that. So appreciate that, Mr. Michael Wu. All right, next on our evaluation team, I want to call up and ask Miss Awesome Dawson, Sarah Dawson Cookies, about how we did with our counter.
Thank you very much, Joey. All right, we'll start with Chanel. In the very beginning and most of it, you had 1 okay and 1 tisk. When you were doing the evaluation, that's when I caught a few more things: 2 ums, 2 uhs, and 3 so's. I think the things that we tend to be on the spot are a little bit more difficult, but did great anyway. Joey, 1 long and 2 so's. Denny, only 1 okay. Oh, Michael, you had 1 and 2 ums and 7 uhs. And most of those, when Chanel was saying that she didn't catch too many crutch words in your speech, that was very true. It was in later when you were speaking that most of those came true. I think there was only like 1 or 2 during your speech, so great job on that. Heather, 3 okays, 5 ums, 1 2 so's, 1 you know. Monica, are you okay? Yeah. Oh, okay, great. Yeah, Monica, you had 1 1 1 like, and 2 you knows. Farron, only 1 Great job. And Farron, you usually, I think sometimes you will do the person who's doing the odd counter. Did you happen to count mine?
I didn't, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought a lot of times you do. So, oh, there's 1. And Mike Ellis, it is so good to have you back and to see your face really briefly when you showed it on there. 4 ums, 7 uhs, 1 so, and 3 you knows. So welcome back. Glad you're all here, and great job, everybody.
I'm glad I'm still consistent.
Yay, Mike. It's good to have you back, Mike.
We got to have Mike here more. Oh, cool. Thank you, Sarah, for that report. And I'm going to give one more speaker a chance to use the word if they didn't use the word of the day, and that is Farron Jacobson. I think you probably already used it.
I
But-
did use it.
Okay. Give us our report, please.
Mike, on your speech, you went slightly over, but I do appreciate how you wrapped it up as soon as you saw my red screen. You went 7:25. Heather, you gave a kind of shortened table topics to yourself. It was 30 seconds. Joey, slightly over 2:05. Good job wrapping it up. Sarah, right on target at 1:53. Monica, 50 seconds. Me, 1:18. Mike Ellis, 1:12. Perfect. Mike Wu, 1:57, right under the red. Chanel, your table topics was 2:27, just slightly over, and your evaluation was also slightly over at 3:19. Good job, everyone.
Thank you, Farron. Great report. And last but not least on our evaluation team, Miss Chanel, how'd we do with our word of the day?
All right, I might have missed a couple people, so please let me know if I missed you. I heard Joey, Heather, Denise, Sarah, Michael Wu, Farron, and myself for sure. Did anybody else use it who's not getting recognition? Okay,
Mhm.
good job. That was a lot of us. So very good today, everybody.
Thanks, Chanel. Yeah, very good on how everything stayed within our theme. Doesn't always have to be that way, but I thought that was great, from table topics to speeches. A little bit more religion on that side, but still there. So way to go. In my general eval of the meeting, I think we did great. We started maybe just a minute later. We just had one speech though and one evaluation. So we're able to get everybody, pretty much everybody in on the table topics. And from our speeches to our evaluations to table topics are great because we get to learn a lot about our members and our guests. So thank you for that. And with that, so I don't talk any more than I need to, because this is a democracy. This isn't a one person listening to Joey Myers talk the whole time. I'm going to hand it back to our Madam President, Chanel West.
Thank you, Joey. I'll give out rewards, virtual sticker to Farron for taking on 2 roles again. Thank you, Farron. She's our fearless game master. And virtual sticker to Sarah for taking on a role at the last minute. And then also real sticker to Michael for your speech today. I'll find your name tag.
Yeah.
Today it's our first time meeting in November, so I would like to bring up before I forget, because I keep forgetting, anybody who has a birthday in November, just to acknowledge, does anybody have a birthday in November? I actually do.
Oh, what day?
Which might be why I was remembering this time, but okay.
Which day?
The 22nd.
Oh, you're close. Thanksgiving.
Yes, every 7 years on Thanksgiving. Okay, that was more awkward than I meant it to be, but. happy birthday.
So does
So
anybody have a birthday in November? Because I do.
I didn't really think that through. So if it's okay with everybody, I believe November 23rd, the week of Thanksgiving, will break club that week, I think.
So no meeting that week, right?
Yes, yeah, we're gonna do no meeting. Because I actually would not be able to be here anyway, so I think
that's what.
That's the 23rd.
yes, on the 23rd, we'll be breaking for Thanksgiving.
We'll take it off for your birthday.
All right. So let's fill out next week's agenda really quickly. I have Heather and Joey down for speeches. Does that still work for both of you?
Yep.
Okay, sweet. So we will need a Toastmaster to present our topic, which is the history of the world. Very broad. We have a lot of fun with that. Who would like to be Toastmaster who hasn't been in a while?
It should either be the oldest or the youngest person.
Well, I think that's me.
Never mind.
Heather, would you like to be Toastmaster? Are you going to be able to be here?
She's giving a speech.
Yeah, I'm giving a speech, otherwise I would. I'm sorry.
Sarah?
I think I should be able to be here, but I've been flaky a lot recently, so I'm a little afraid to take a role.
The
So,
Italians are rubbing off on you, Sarah.
I know, it's siesta time, right?
Okay, and can I have 2 evaluators for Joey and Heather's speeches?
I can be one.
Okay, thank you. Mike, would you like to do that? Okay, okay. Michael Wu is evaluator. And then I'll put myself down for table topics. Darren, are you going to be able to be here?
I'll be here. You can put me wherever.
Okay, I'll put you for general evaluator.
Then you got Kalani too. I don't know if she's good next week or whatnot, but
I'll put her down for something. Jenny, I'll put you down for something. Okay. Excellent. Now we want to take a moment to just recognize our guests again. Monica, I know that you're a returning guest, so great to have you back. This is your second meeting, yes?
Yes, that way. And then if you guys can email me like where I can pay my dues at too.
Yeah, yes, definitely.
have you gotten your application yet, Monica?
No, I haven't. You can email that to me too. You can work email to my work email
All right, wait, hold on let me get that down here.
because I'm doing it for my work. Yeah.
Okay, what's your email?
Monica, Monica.
Okay.
Diaz, Diaz,
D-I-A-Z, okay.
number 3.
With the hashtag or just?
No, just number 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then at va.gov.
va.gov. Cool. Monica.diaz, D-I-A-Z 3@va.gov.
Mhm.
Got it. All right. I'll send that out to you and just let me know if you got any questions on that and we'll get you all set up and locked in.
Okay.
Cool. Thanks for your service, by the way, Monica.
Yes, thank you. Yep. Okay, and Ray, did you have anything that you wanted to, do you have any feedback about your time joining us today for the first time?
No, I just wanted to say thank you very much for letting me attend this meeting. I like those table topics. I read or listened to most of those books. I just want to let the group know that I am visually impaired, so sometimes it does take me a little bit of time to find buttons and read the chats and stuff like that. So
Got it.
Okay.
So next time we'll work on reading whatever we need to read to make sure that I think
yeah,
did table
Heather-
topics today. Yeah, Heather did a good job.
yeah, she did a really good job. I appreciate that. That really makes Zoom helpful for me. So
Yeah, very cool. Welcome, Ray.
Good. Yeah,
I'd like to say, Ray, you have a nice voice. I'll look forward to hearing a speech from you.
thank you very much. I appreciate that.
yeah, so also please let us know if anything that might need read aloud or just anything else we could do differently that would be helpful. Feel free to bring it to our attention. Please do.
I appreciate that. Yes.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay. With that, thank you for coming today, everybody, and I will adjourn this meeting of Fresno City Toastmasters. Have a great week.
Have a great week, everybody.
Bye, all.
Bye.